Hello everyone, welcome to part 3 of Project Blueprints. The blueprints were purchased from Red Apron Vintage, so go check her Instagram out. And in my last order, she sent these cute extra little thank yous, and I am so appreciative. There is a blue bingo card that matches the blueprints and an extra little bingo card, and this really pretty music folder, and I just love it, and I am so appreciative of her. And the tissue, which was in the packagings, was blue, so it's like she knew I would use it. So I have decided to take the blue Star Dream paper and wrap it around the outside. I'm doing the sides first because it is not long enough to go obviously all the way around in one go. So I'm going to do the sides and wrap them around the bottom, and then I will cover the wraparound part with the bottom panel. And as always, I am using the Fabri-Tac glue because I find it easier to work with, and I can move my pieces around for a minute or so should I need to. I always like to make sure to crease the angles of my project. If you saw the first one, I didn't quite make everything absolutely even. There were maybe a couple ripples in the edges, but if you use a bone folder or your fingernails or the back of a butter knife, you can put a nice edge on there, and no one will ever know that it's not really perfectly straight. Now, one side I didn't line up perfectly, but if you make sure that your panel that you're joining in between the side pieces matches with the edges of each side, it's not very noticeable that you didn't make it perfectly straight. And being a container for a junk journal or a junk journal box or satchel, it's okay to be imperfect, even though it has an architecture theme. I'm sure people that use blueprints might get mad at me, but please don't. That's the joy of being able to use what you have at home. Now, I took some linen strips and I coffee dyed them, and I dried them in the oven, which gave them this really cool feel. And I kind of soaked I crinkled it up and just sort of stuck it in a pool of coffee, and it dyed in there and dried in there with these really neat dark spots. But I was looking on my desk and I saw this washi tape that had this really cool geometric pattern to it. And in my true Libra fashion, I couldn't really decide. So I asked Mr. Moonfire, because he is also an artist, and he steered me in the direction of the washi tape, which I actually like a lot better than the linen fabric pieces. It kind of made this neat little frame to go around it, and it wasn't so much of a juxtaposition between the soft fuzzy fabric edges and the clean lines of the blueprints. So I went with that, and you can see that I do use glue on my washi tape because not everyone will have this issue But having worked in a craft store, I do know that most tapes, washi tape, even scotch tape, masking tape, only has about a 2-year shelf life. And then once you use it, it can have a tendency to dry out and come off. Or, washi tape is not totally meant to be permanent, so it comes off if you pull it off. So I do use a glue to make sure that it will stay there forever, or at least until maybe the dog chews it up or something. I don't know, knock on wood. But I have been told that my projects are kid-proof and mostly pet-proof. So that's a plus, yay. Now, I did not put it across the bottom like I normally would have, and then gone around the sides after, because this washi tape is semi-transparent, and I didn't want you to be able to see the pattern showing through underneath it. So on the bottom edges, I just cut in between the washi tape frame that I had made and stuck it in there. I hope you guys are all having a great day. I was recently just had sinus issues, so I'm very sorry about the delay in between parts 2 and parts 3. And I did film this when I still have kind of a tickle and a cough going on from icky sinus drainage. Sorry about being gross, don't mean to, but I wanted to get it filmed, and then I had to work. So now I'm finally being able to do the voiceover for you. And I am putting an extra piece on the bottom so that the one dark edge that has the triangles on it is facing the inside on all 4 sides. I didn't like how you had triangles on 2 sides and then not dark triangles on the short sides. So all I'm doing is putting an extra 2 pieces over top of the edge on the bottom, and then I will just maneuver them into place. Make sure you give everything a good press, and then you can either take an X-Acto knife, run it down the edge, but I find with washi tape it tends to be fragile and can catch. So my easiest way is just to use your scissors and snip off the edge. Press it down to make sure nothing is sticking up, or that you don't need any more glue to go along the corner edge piece. So I hope all of you guys are doing okay. Our weather is really weird. I don't like it. It's been like 71 Fahrenheit and sunny, and then the sun goes down and we get big hail, and then once the hail passes there's heat lightning, and then the next day it's like 40, and then the day after that it's like 70 again. So everyone's gross and it feels icky outside. And I had one one daffodil bloom in my entire garden so far. So if you guys have anything that has bloomed, let me know. Send me a picture. But I am going all the way around the top part, and I'm just folding over the sides so that you don't see the open edge. And I'm just going to make a slit where the top flaps go. And then I will go all the way across, and I just find that it kind of finishes the top edges. It also hides any crinkling that you might have in the paper due to opening and closing for the hinge. And always make sure that you give it a nice burnish. And I like to leave it folded over to dry, so that you can make sure that if the washi tape or the paper needs to stretch, it can. And then when you open it, just run your fingernail or bone folder along the crease, and that will help to straighten it out and kind of also keep it in that groove. Kind of creates a little channel for the hinge to work, and it doesn't I don't find that it buckles. So, and then you just trim off the edge where it overlaps and make it nice and clean. Now, I do use the Fabri-Tac instead of like a tacky glue or white glue, because being water-based, those glues can tend to leave bubbles and a lot of bumps. And I like to smooth out where the glue is. I just use the side of the nozzle and run it over it so that there's not any clumps to come oozing out or anything. But there are our edges, all nice and neat. And the inside goes along with the outside. And I found these cool, I have a little kit of snaps and buttons and things like that, and these are the ones that, like the rivet type buttons that you close your jeans with. And I am using a centering ruler, which has totally saved my crafting life. It has 0 in the center of the ruler and then goes out on each side 6 inches, and every quarter of an inch at the bottom there are holes evenly spaced so that you can punch your holes for your bookbinding, find the center of your project, and it has little guidelines that are evenly spaced if you want to use those to draw out some writing lines with for journaling. Now, when you make your hole, make it the size of the rivet part, not the size of the big part that the button is attached to, because that's too big. And I just sort of stuck the little, it's a screw, not a screw part, into the hole. And then the kit comes with a little round metal disc that the button or your snap end sits in very nicely. The other end is a conical shape in case you need to use it for like an eyelet style. But you just line up the little rivet post with the hole of the button. And I really love my mallet. This is my leather mallet from Weaver Leather Tools. And just give it a nice whap. And it has little ridges that go into the hole of the back of the button. It does not screw in, so once it's on there in your project, you cannot get it out without destroying your project. So keep that in mind and make sure you're putting it where you want to put it. And I do not make my hole too big because I don't want it to move around in there. And so I kind of push it through with flat pliers. Just kind of walk it side to side, just enough to get the pointy end all the way through your hole you made. But yeah, don't make your hole too big unless you want your button to turn. Because it's on like a satchel type box, I really wanted it to stay more stationary, and over time it may loosen up. So I wanted it to be nice and tight to begin with. And there we go. We have our attachment points to put our handle on. Now, I haven't figured out what I'm going to do for my handle. I'm kind of leaning towards a little leather strap, maybe with some buttonholes in it that I can just kind of lengthen and shorten. But I'm really happy and pleased with the way the washi tape came out. And if you guys could give me a like, subscribe, comment, or share, I would greatly appreciate it. I can't wait to get part 4 started. We'll also have the button for the top flap to make it easier to open and close. And thanks very much for watching, everyone. Bye-bye. Stay crafty.